Welcome to How to Grit Your Mind into Greatness, the bonus course for how to grind your gift into greatness. How to grit your mind into greatness, a little more intimate session here, but this is about the mental toughness aspect of it. We all face opposition, right? And if you're not expecting it, then you can take that the wrong way. You can almost take it as a sign to stop if you're not expecting it. And the mental toughness aspect of it is something that I wish I was really aware of earlier in my career. Because when adversity came, it seemed like life was picking on me. But it's actually not the case. See, if we understood that every day when we wake up, when our feet touch the ground, we are in a fight. Now, it's not a malicious fight, right? Not every day is a prize fight where you're fighting for the championship. But every day when your feet touch the ground, you have to understand something. You are in the boxing ring of life. Listen to me, this is very important. If you understand this, this will help you out tremendously when it comes to not quitting, okay? If you understand that every day when your feet touch the ground, you're in the boxing ring of life. Some days you're just sparring. Some days you're shadow boxing. And some days it is a takedown, knockdown, prize fight with all the chips on the line. But you are in the boxing ring of life. You're in a fight. If you know that, then you won't get thrown for a loop when life punches you in the face. Okay? Because life is going to punch you in the face. But if you know that you're in a fight, what you're going to do is, one, you're going to put your hands up, figuratively and literally. You're going to put your hands up and prepare for what's happening. You're going to prepare to be in a fight. If you were in a boxing ring and you were sparring, you would prepare to be in a fight. People get knocked out when they're in a fight and don't realize it. If you didn't know that, that's not life's fault because you got hit in the face. It's your fault. It's your fault. So you have to know, I am in a boxing match. And that's fair. And that's perfectly fine. And you can put your hands up and you can have fun with life as long as you know, hey, keep yourself protected. And guess what? You'll be okay. This is going to help you to have that mental toughness and that confidence to not back down in the face of adversity, to not back down when life punches you in the face, to not back down when you've been hit. Sometimes it feels like you've been hit by a Mack truck and you've been knocked off your feet by the happenings of life. To not quit, to get back up and to finish your task. Not just to start something amazing, but to finish something amazing. So steps for you, how I want you to take this training. I want you to watch this course through the entire way without taking any notes if you can, or taking very little notes, but just try to soak in the concepts and just try to soak in the sincerity of it. Then to come back a second time after that, take the course with notes, internalize everything, customize it, figure out, create a mental movie for yourself through each of the steps and say, how does this relate to me? How can I apply this? What are some times where I could have applied this in the past? What are some times where I can apply this right now? Okay? And then I want you to understand the mantra. I will not quit because I have grit. This is important. This is what I want you to say to yourself every time you feel like throwing in the towel. Okay? Every time you feel like throwing in the towel. Even if you have to throw in the towel on a particular task, I want you to say to yourself, I will not quit because I have grit. So let's get into it. My trusty slide here. Some wonderful tea that my wife made for me. All right, so grit. The G in grit stands for guts. The G in grit stands for guts. Fear is a small fire and time is the wood. Think about that. Fear is a small fire and time is the wood. You got to have guts to face your fears. Not only just face your fears, but to face your discomfort and do it right away, because fear is a small fire, but time, the longer you take procrastinating on it, the longer you take avoiding it, the longer you take ignoring it, it gets bigger because what? Wood is getting thrown on it. Time throws wood on the fire. You got to have guts to face your fears, but not just that, to face your discomforts. What do I mean by that? Fear is an aggressive word, right? A lot of us will say, no fear, I'm not afraid. But you're definitely uncomfortable with certain things. And most of the times, the thing that's the most uncomfortable for you is the thing that you need to do the most, right? So if you're a salesperson and you're uncomfortable on the phone, guess what? Fear is a small fire, but time is wood. You can't be a salesperson for long and be uncomfortable on the phone for long if your job entails you calling prospects, right? You got to face your fear. You got to have the guts to do what's uncomfortable until what's uncomfortable becomes comfortable, right? That's one thing that Will Smith would say. He used to hate being uncomfortable. So if he got on set and something made him nervous or uncomfortable, he would just go at it aggressively until he was no longer uncomfortable with it, until he got good at it, right? So we got to face our fears because fear is a small fire, but time is the wood. Mistakes a lot of people make when it comes to having guts and courage is what I would call ignorance, but not in the traditional sense of the word, but ignorance, meaning they ignore the uncomfortable things. They ignore what they're afraid of. They ignore it. They ignore it. They ignore it. And you cannot do that if you're going to be in the boxing ring of life, okay? It may be uncomfortable for you to keep your hands up and protect your face, but you understand this. If you don't, you're going to get knocked out if you're in a boxing match, right? It's uncomfortable for you to try to achieve your greatness, and you're not going to be comfortable with every step along the way. But you can't ignore it. It doesn't get any better. The longer you ignore what's uncomfortable, more wood is being thrown on it. It's not going to get any better. You got to have the guts to face it. So I want you to think about that. What do you need to do that's a necessity, but it's uncomfortable? What do you need to do that's a necessity, but it's uncomfortable? And that you need to just say, you know what? I got to have grit. I got to have guts. And just face it. Figure it out. Get better. One lady said, everything is figure-outable. I love that quote. You can figure it out. Everything is able to be figured out. Face it. The sooner, the better. Next thing I want you to do is imagine what the worst is. What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? And I want you to compare that to the best that can happen with your goal. It's almost like a bracketing system, like they do in March Madness and so forth. You place a bracket against the worst that can happen, and you place that in a competition against the best that could happen if you achieve your goal. If the worst that can happen far outweighs the best that can happen if you achieve your goal, then hey, maybe you shouldn't do it. But most of the time, that's not the case. Most of the time, that's not the case. Most of the time, if you would bracket the worst that could happen if you're afraid to make calls and you're a salesperson, the worst that could happen is somebody says, don't ever call me again, calls you a few bad names and hangs up the phone. It's the worst that could happen. You bracket that against the best that could happen, which is you being able to make enough income to support your family, to pay your bills, and go where you want to go, when you want to go there. That far outweighs the worst that can happen. By all means, have some guts and face your fear and your discomfort then. If the best that can happen far outweighs the worst that could happen, you know what to do. Then I want you to just get better. Just get better, If that's the thing, do what Will Smith did. If something makes you uncomfortable, but it's a necessity for your craft, it's a necessity for your greatness, it's a necessity for your development, just get better. You got to have the guts. You got to have grit. Get better. Just go and get better. You got the world at your fingertips now with phones, Google, YouTube, social media. The world is at your fingertips. Just go and get better. The playing field has been leveled. The barriers to entry have fallen over. Just put the time in, go and get better, okay? And last but not least, confidence is important. Confidence. Confidence is a state of mind, a state of body, and a state of being. Confidence is a state of mind, a state of body, and a state of being. Doing these courses at one point wasn't comfortable. It wasn't comfortable. But you got to have confidence. You got to jump out here. It's a state of mind. It's a state of body. And it's a state of being. Confidence. Sometimes you have to fake it until you make it. You just do. You have to walk around like I know that I am what I want to be already. And feel that. You got to imagine that. And embody that, right? Sometimes you can have confidence just by changing your state, your physical state. Jump up. Feel good about yourself. You know what's amazing? Is one way to feel confident is to just put your hands up like this. That changes your state amazingly. You ever see somebody do something awesome in sports and athletics, particularly crossing the finish line, like in a sprinter crossing a race or a marathon runner crossing a race? What do? Why do you think they do that? Because they feel awesome. They're at the top of their game. They just won. This is what you do innately when you're at the top of the game and you won. It's awesome. Yes. If you just do that, though, if you just go, yes, like that, weirdly enough, you feel a little better. I feel good. I feel like running a mile right now just by doing that. It's a state of mind. It's a state of body. And it's a state of being. Just be confident. Be confident. Who cares if you don't know what you're doing? Be confident. Confidence is attractive, right? Confidence is attractive. Nobody wants to do business with somebody that just doesn't know anything and so afraid and so scared. No, confidence is attractive. Confidence is attractive, and confidence can attract wealth for you, all right? All right, so that's the G in grit is guts. All right. Move my slide over here. The R in grit is resilience. Resilience. Resilience is the ability to recover quickly from difficulties. The ability to recover quickly from difficulties. Are you going to need that in the boxing match of life? You better believe it. You better believe it. You're going to need to recover quickly from difficulties. If anybody told you that difficulties are not a part of life, they lied to you, okay? Difficulties are a part of life. When you're in a fight, guess what? You're going to have difficulties. In life, you're going to have difficulties. We say, hey, you know, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. Who cares? You're going to have difficulties. Hey, I was born with the silver spoon in my mouth. Who cares? You're going to have difficulty. Difficulty is a part of life. Resilience is your ability to recover quickly once you've been hit with difficulties. So, Buster Douglas. You might remember Buster Douglas became famous after defeating Mike Tyson, Iron Mike Tyson, best boxer in the world. And I remember being a kid watching that fight. Nobody was even over the house because it wasn't considered a big fight. You know, everybody thought for sure Tyson was going to beat this guy, even though he was from Columbus. And this wasn't a big buzz. So I'm in the basement watching the fight by myself. And I'm watching that fight, and Buster's getting in some good shots. And I'm going, man, this guy, Mike isn't looking like he usually looks. And Buster's looking great. And then sure enough, Mike, I guess, had enough, and he starts hitting Buster with some good shots. And Buster goes down. He gets hit by Iron Mike Tyson and does what everybody expects. He goes down. Now, I thought the fight was over just like it had been so many times before. But Buster's on the canvas there, and he's kind of down, and you can kind of see his wheels turning. You know the story. Buster gets back up. He goes on and defeats Iron Mike Tyson and shocks the world, completely shocks the world. And when they interviewed Buster, for the life of me, I couldn't think of why he would want to get up, because he was going to get paid regardless, right? I mean, and he could have potentially got up and been knocked completely out like most of everybody that fought Mike Tyson, right? He could have just stayed down there and collected his check. Well, they interviewed Buster, and he said, you know, my mom told everybody I was going to beat Iron Mike Tyson, and my mom had passed before the fight, and he felt that internal obligation to fulfill that destiny and beat Iron Mike Tyson. So he got up. he was hit with difficulty. Mike Tyson was a difficult foe. An uppercut from him was difficulty. But he had the ability to recover quickly in less than 10 seconds, mind you, when he got hit with difficulty. And that was the difference between him just collecting a check and him being a champion. Now, granted, he wasn't a champion for a very long time. However, that was a life-changing moment for him because he could have stayed down there, but because of resilience, he recovered quickly, and that was the difference between him just collecting a check and him getting up and being a champion. That's what resilience will do for you. If you want to just collect a check, anybody can go out and collect a check. You can go work for fast food. You can do anything. You can do a plethora of things to collect a check. But if you want to be a champion in your life, a champion in your family's lives, a champion in your community, you got to have resilience. You got to be able to get knocked down, sometimes knocked almost out, and recover quickly and get back up. You got to be able to, lose almost everything and not throw in the towel and say, you know what, I took a good blow, but I can come back from this and get up and figure it out. Get back in the race. That's grit. That's resilience, right? So you had guts to start, but resilience gets you back up when you get knocked completely off your feet, and life is going to knock you completely off your feet. So make sure you don't see resistance as a sign to stop. I made that mistake personally before, made it several times. I thought resistance was a sign to stop. Hey, it's getting difficult. This must be mean I'm doing the wrong thing. Must be a sign I need to stop. Resistance is a part of life. Difficulty is a part of life. Expect that. You're in a fight. When your feet touch the ground, you're in a fight. Expect a little resistance. It's okay. You might have to press through that. So when that happens, I want you to ask yourself this question. Why did I start? Why did I start? Why did I start? Huh? Why did I start? That's going to be your reason to finish. Why did I start? Did I start this thing in order to change my family's life forever, for generations and generations? That may be a good reason to get back up off of the canvas of life, have some resilience, and recover quickly from difficulty. You have to ask yourself, when you're down and out, why did I start? That could be your reason to finish. All right. Gotta have grit. I will not quit because I have grit. The I in grit stands for imagination. Imagination. One of my favorite quotes. Listen, God gave people a vision of the magnificent end. So when they got in the messy middle, they wouldn't go back to the miserable beginning. This was referring to in the Bible when he would show people visions or instructions, right? Like the Noah's Ark, right? You give them the instructions. You show them the vision of the magnificent end, this ark. So when you get in the messy middle, it's messy in the middle. Imagine being halfway through an ark in your front lawn and being ridiculed by everybody in the town going, what is this crazy person doing? So when they get in the messy middle, they don't go back to the miserable beginning. So why is the beginning miserable? Because if you don't build that ark and you just go back and quit and give up, boy, that would have been miserable. That would have been some miserable stuff. Well, same for you. You started for a reason, right? You started this company, this organization, this task, this effort, whatever it may be, this New Year's resolution. You started for a reason, and that's the vision. That's the goal, right? But you see the goal, you see the vision, you see the end, the glorious end, the magnificent end, so that when you get in the messy middle, and in middle, it gets messy sometimes. Listen, when my son had wanted to be a running back, the Lord had shown me a vision. I got a dream when they were just little kids, both of my sons, and I saw them playing football. I saw them in the vision. They were in college and they were playing football, and I saw their physique and I saw their abilities and I saw the positions they were playing, and it was a vision. It was a divine inspiration. I saw that when they were little kids. Well, guess what? In the middle of Them going from little kids to being in high school and playing football and doing and being everything that I saw them doing and being, it was messy. You had all kinds of mess in there. You had car accidents in there. You had broken bones in there. You had ineligibility in there. It was messy. It was messy. But guess what? I saw the magnificent end so that when you get in the messy middle, you don't go back and give up and go, oh man, yeah, we just shouldn't be doing this. No, you don't go back to the miserable beginning. The beginning is miserable when you've seen the end, the magnificence of the end. You stay in it. George Hall, he was a POW locked in a dark box of North Vietnamese prison for 7 grueling years. Every day, Hall played a full game of golf in his imagination. An image of the magnificent end. 1 week after he was released from his POW camp, he entered the Greater New Orleans Open. 1 week after being released from prison. Okay? He entered the New Orleans Open and shot a 76. A professional level score, a 76. All he did was imagine playing. Imagine. Imagination. What imagination is image creation. Once you put an image in your imagination, now your brain goes out like a search dog and tries to search out what it is and create the image that you placed in your imagination. My suggestion would be, if you have a goal, if you have a dream, if you have a vision, to imagine walking around in its completion every day you can. What was it that was built? Epcot Center, I think it was. Once they finished Epcot Center, they asked Walt Disney's wife and said, man, don't you wish that Walt could have seen the completion of this? And she said, he already did. He already did. Where? In his imagination. It lived in his imagination. He had walked around in there so many times before. It was already completed years before it was completed because it was in his imagination. And then his brain just went out and applied image creation. That's what your mind will do. It will apply image creation to whatever you imagine and walk around in like that. Do it every day. I would suggest doing it every day. Just like Colonel George Hall did. And he came out. And because he imagined it so well, he came out and his body caught up with his imagination. He came out and shot a 76 a week after being locked up for 7 years. Are you kidding me? What other proof do you need? That's amazing. Image creation, use your imagination. So your mind is like a search dog, right? You got to tell it what to search out and find out. When you give a search dog something, a scent, then it goes out and it finds that scent. Well, you got to give your mind a scent and put it on the trail to what? To what you want to create, the magnificent end. Give your mind the scent of the magnificent end by what? Your imagination. Walk around in what you want. Walk around in it in your mind. You want to be a public speaker? Walk around in your mind being a public speaker. You want to start a charitable organization that helps women? See yourself walking around, helping those women. They're hugging you in appreciation. And you're saying, oh, I'm doing this for you. Just you being changed and having joy and having freedom is enough for me. Walk around in your mind. Imagine seeing that. It's powerful. It's so powerful that it helped a man shoot a 76 a week after being locked up for 7 years. So what do I want you to do if you get down? You had guts to start. You got knocked down. You had resilience. You got your imagination going. I want you to ask yourself, why did I start? And put that in your mind, your imagination, your image creation mechanism. Put that in your mind. Why did I start? That's going to help you get up off the canvas of life, Buster Douglas. Why did I start? My mom thought I could beat Mike Tyson. You know what? I'm imagining myself beating Mike Tyson. In order to do that, I got to get up before this man counts to 10 and I'm out. And you get up and you become a champion. Image creation. Why did I start? It's a good reason to get up and finish. The I in grit, imagination. Imagination. Hope you're enjoying this so far. This is a work of purpose for me. And I feel like this was an obligation to not only show you how to grind your gift into greatness, but how to have the mental toughness, because it's not going to be easy all the time when you're in the fight of life. The T in grit, is tenacity, where resilience is a defensive mechanism. You got knocked down, you got to be resilient and get back up from difficulty. Tenacity is offensive. It's offensive, proactive, tenacity. One of my favorite quotes, man, and they don't do this much anymore, but when I was little, Lexus used to have this quote. It said, "The relentless pursuit of perfection." Man, I just used to love the way that sounded. The relentless pursuit of perfection. All right? The relentless pursuit of it. That's tenacity, man. That's what tenacity is. The relentless pursuit of what you want. And I know what some of you are thinking, oh, well, you can't be perfect, you can't be perfect. Well, listen to it. You may not have a perfect performance, but you can certainly have a perfect outcome. I'll say that again. You may not have a perfect performance, but you can certainly have a perfect outcome. You can certainly have a perfect outcome. What does that mean? Super Bowl champions. Do they have a perfect performance? Was their game perfect? Did they make no mistakes? No offside penalties? No flags? Nothing bad happened? No missed assignments? Of course not. They don't have a perfect performance. But winning that Super Bowl is the perfect outcome. It's the perfect outcome. So you may not have a perfect performance, and that's okay. But you got to be tenacious, man. The relentless pursuit of that thing. Of what? The perfect outcome. The relentless pursuit of the perfect outcome. And don't worry about if you trip up on the way. Don't worry about if you make mistakes on the way. Don't worry about if your blue doesn't match your pants. Don't worry about all that. I've stuttered a few times today, right? I've had to take some tea breaks. It wasn't a perfect performance, but I want the perfect outcome, which is you being able to understand that you will not quit as long as you have grit, guts, resilience, imagination, and tenacity. That's the perfect outcome for me. That you soak that in and it becomes a tool to change your life. Whenever you feel down and out and feel like quitting and feel like life's not fair, just remember, I will not quit because I have grit. I need to have guts. What do I need to face? Okay, I need to have resilience. Did I get knocked out? Did I get punched in the face by life? Okay, be resilient. Get up right away. Do I need to use my imagination? Why did I start? Why did I start? Oh yeah, I started to change my family's life. I started to change women's lives. I started to change children's lives. That's where I started. Get back at it and then have tenacity, the relentless pursuit of your perfect outcome. The relentless pursuit of your perfect outcome. I'm telling you, I get excited about this stuff because it's crucial. What's the most important stuff in life? What would I want to leave for my kids if I wasn't around for them to be grown men and adults? What would I want to say to them? Yeah, I'd want to tell them, grind your gift into greatness. Use your God-given gift, talents, and abilities and turn it into greatness. And I'd also want them to have grit, to understand that life is going to punch you in the face. And that's okay. No big deal. Take a standing 8 count, as they say, where you got to count to 8 and you get yourself back up and get in the game. Get in the ring. Protect yourself. Learn from your mistakes. Throw some more punches. Bruce Lee said, when you get knocked down, don't ask, why did that person hit me? Ask yourself, why am I getting hit? What do I need to do to adjust myself so I don't get hit anymore? That's a better question to ask, right? Not that this person's hitting me. You're in a fight. You're going to get hit. Your question is, why am I getting hit? What do I need to do to adjust so that doesn't keep happening? This happens all the time, though. People forget to remember why they started. That's the most powerful thing I can say right now, is people forget to remember why they started. Why did you start this thing? What's your reason? Why? This is what mental toughness is all about. Without grit, if you don't have grit, if you don't have guts to do what's uncomfortable, if you don't have resilience, that when difficult things happen and you just fold up the towel. You think about the owner of Starbucks having to go to the bank 242 times and be denied, right? That's resilience. That's resilience. To be told no 242 times, I gotta be honest with you. I get told no 6 times. I'm like, you know what? I probably shouldn't even be doing this. Right? That's how I would feel. 12, yeah, I need to pack up and find a different job. 20, I don't know why I'm banging my head up against the wall. 100, seems like I'm beating a dead horse here. 200, I just don't learn my lesson. 242 times, wow, resilience. That's somebody who used their imagination. They were certain that why they started was important enough. They were certain. 242 times, be told no, you're certain. That's somebody that had an imagination, that knew why they started. And he was tenacious. You know what kind of tenacity you have to even try anything 242 times? To talk to another human being 242 times and ask and be told no? That's grit. And because of that grit, you have one of the largest coffee organizations in the world. Cause of grit, man. Guts, resilience, imagination, and tenacity. So Kyle McDonald, this is the guy, you may have heard of him, that took a paper clip and leveraged it. Traded it up. Started with the little red paper clip, traded it up for this item, that item, a pen here, this, there, that, there, and then traded that item for another item, and then traded that item for another item. He wound up trading that little red paper clip for a house. Started off with that little red paper clip and bartered it and leveled up and bought a house. Just from taking that clip, trading it for that item, taking that item, trading it for another item, taking that item, trading it for another item, and got a house. At the end of the deal, he got a house, man. Why? Because he owned the opportunity. I want you to understand that. You've got to own your opportunity. You got to own your opportunity. What are you waiting for? Don't wait. The barriers to entry for just about anything has been leveled. You can start a business for a couple $100. You can get all the training you want for just about free for most of the tasks that you have to do, right? The barriers to entry have been leveled. You can take amazing courses like this for less than $20,000, and my education cost me way more than that, let me tell you. And this course is a culmination of all my paid education, all my life's education. These courses are a culmination of that. And it cost me way more than a few $100s. It cost me several $1,000s to get that education, right? You don't have to do all that anymore, right? You can spend a couple $100s and get educated in just about anything you want to do and get coached. You can spend a few $1,000s and get coached The barriers to entry have been leveled. Own your opportunity. Own your opportunity. So next steps. This is what you want to see. How can I leverage what I have now in order to level up? Okay? You want to level up. See, greatness, people that are striving for greatness are never in the same place for too long. Meaning they're never at the same level for too long. You can't afford to be at the same level for too long. You look at a person like Kevin Hart, right? This is somebody who understands the concept of leveling up, using this opportunity and leveraging that for another opportunity. And then leveraging that opportunity for another level up opportunity. And leveraging that opportunity for another movie. Leveraging that opportunity for another comedic tour. Leveraging that opportunity to get on the NBA All-Star program. You see what I mean? Kevin Hart's a big name right now. He learns to level up, to use what you have, to get what you want, to be like the guy with the paperclip and trade that and level up. If you're riding a bike uphill, you're never standing still. If you're riding a bike uphill, you're either going forward or you're rolling back down the hill. That's how you got to look at this thing. That's how you got to look at your pursuit of greatness, your relentless pursuit of a perfect outcome. Like it's an uphill ride. And there's no sitting still. You're either going backwards or you're going forward. You got to keep leveling up, okay? And just to recap, grit is what? Guts, resilience, imagination, and tenacity. I want you to repeat after me. I will not quit because I have grit. I will not quit because I have grit. One thing I want you to do before we finish this course. I want you to take out a piece of paper, blank piece of paper. I want you to make a line down the middle of it. I want you to, on the left side of that paper, write down all of the things that you think are a limitation for you. That you think are a limitation for you. Okay? Everything that you think is a limitation for you. Write it down as quickly as possible. Just write it down. Write down everything that's a limitation for you. I'm too short. I'm not tall enough. I'm not educated enough. Whatever. Then on the right side of that paper, I want you to write down the limitations that everybody else places on you. You can't do that because this. You can't do that because you're too short, too tall, too rich, too poor. Too this, too that. Not enough this, not enough that. Write it down on the piece of paper as fast as you can. Write it down. Okay? Got that paper, you got your list all together. I want you to take that paper and I want you to ball that paper up. If you notice, my graphic for this entire grit course has been balling it up. Ball that paper up. Ball that paper up in your hand. Hold it tight. Hold that paper tight in your hand. Ball it up. I want you to hold that paper in the air. Look at that paper. Balled up in your hand. And I want you to tell yourself, in spite of this, I'm still awesome. In spite of this, I'm still awesome. There's only two types of people in the world. My pastor always tells me there's because of people and there's in spite of people. Some people say because of this, because of everything on this list, I can't be successful. I can't achieve greatness. I can't have an impact. I can't level up. I can't change jobs. I can't. Because of everything on this paper. Those are because of people. And then there are in spite of people, which is what you are right now, right here, today. In spite of everything on that list, balled up in your fist. In spite of that, I'm still awesome. In spite of that, I'm still capable. In spite of that, I'm still going to have an impact in the world. In spite of that, I still matter. In spite of that, I still make a difference. You take that paper, and I don't want you to throw that paper away. I want you to keep that paper. Put it in a box. Put a lid on it. Write your name on the outside of it with a sticker or something. Put it in there, and I want you to keep that thing visible as a motivation to you. That in spite of everything on that list, you are still awesome. All right? That's your gift to you. You're still capable. You're still awesome. Do not quit because you have grit. You have guts. You have resilience. You have imagination. And you have tenacity. All right? So next steps for you, I want you to take this course again for the second time. Go ahead and review this again. All right? This time with your notes. Internalize everything. Think about everything. Customize everything. Go back and take it again. Okay? Go back and take this course again. Go back and take it as many times as you need to get motivated until it sticks, until you get it. Grit is a tool. It's a tool that you can use. When you feel like you're down, I want you to remember grit. What is grit? Okay, guts. What do I need to find that I need to do, but I'm a little timid about doing? And you charge towards it. Because fear is a small fire, but time is the wood. Have resilience. When you get knocked for a loop, think, oh, I got to get up quick. I got to get right back on that bike, that horse. I got to get right back on it. Got to have resilience. Because what? You can collect a check or you can be a champion. Champions got to get up, though. Champions got to get up off the floor, okay? Got to use your imagination, your image creation mechanism. Think about the colonel. After being in prison for 7 years, he came back. Shot at 76 with his image creation mechanisms. And you got to have tenacity, the relentless pursuit of your perfect outcome and level up. Again, thank you so much for taking the course. I look forward to hearing from you. Anytime you post about taking the course or anything that you're doing, let us know. Use the hashtag #GrindYourGift. We want to support you. We're a community. We're here for you. We're excited to see your results. And make sure you go out and pay it forward. Tell somebody else about the course. Tell somebody else about what you learned. Tell somebody else to contact us for a concept consultation so that we can help perpetuate this message of grinding our gift into greatness, gritting our minds into greatness and being mental tough, and gracing our hearts into greatness so we can have integrity and sanity along the way. Again, thank you for taking this course. God bless you and be great.